And I am so excited because tonight, and yes, it's nighttime, and that's why the lights are so weird, but I am interviewing author Nancy BILYEAU. And I think that's how you say her name. I will be asking her, and we're talking about her brand new book called The Blue. And if you look at this cover, isn't that crazy? When I saw the cover, I was like, yeah, I'm reading it. And I don't think I'm the only one because I've been seeing it all over the place. I think everybody is just as amazed as I am at how beautiful this cover is. So with the story, oh my God, I love historical fiction. And then take me to England and I'm all in. So everyone, here is Nancy. Hi everyone, I am so excited because tonight, technically tonight, I am interviewing author Nancy BILYEAU, and we are talking about her brand new book that you guys have already seen before this called The Blue. Came out in December, and I am just like everybody else, Nancy. We see this cover and we're like in. We're like, yes, we're in.
Great.
This cover is amazing. And I see people talking about it all over the place. And I loved on Instagram, people were making pictures with it and
Bookmarks. Yes.
bookmarks, everything.
Exciting.
It is. How excited were you when you saw it?
Oh, I was very happy. I have an English publisher, Endeavor Quill, and they, started rolling with the editing, and you'll be getting a cover, and they sent it as a JPEG, and I opened it up, and I just was like, I didn't know what direction they were going to go, and I thought, are they going to have a woman on the cover?
Right.
How are they going to do this? And then I just saw this design. I said, yes.
Exactly.
There was no disagreement. There was no authorial critiquing. It was just, let's do this.
Oh my gosh.
It was very easy.
That's kind of what I was thinking as I was reading it. I'm like, they could have gone in another direction and had like a woman or, a lot of them go picturesque, but I'm so happy they didn't because it's so different and it stands out when you see it. You're like, whoa, look at that. So I'm really happy.
That's what I think. It really is more about something that you desire.
Yes.
And if you see a woman, especially the 18th century, then you got to start to worry about the beautiful clothes, the hair, and then that could look great, but it's a different direction.
Yes, absolutely. So I love historical fiction. It's,
Okay.
It's like my favorite genre. So and then you take me to England and I'm like, yes, I
Okay.
But this was so different. And I was reading, after I read it, I went back to read your reviews and because I don't like to read them ahead of time. And I was like, I just thought like everybody else, when we find a historical fiction, us readers who love historical fiction, when we find a story that's so unique and hasn't been done, we just like jump up and down for joy. It's like, because so much has been done, and then you're like, when you find a story, you're like, I didn't know this. And the research you did on this book, I was talking to you while I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my God, Nancy, oh my God.
Wow. Good. Well, I'm a research nerd. I go down the rabbit hole.
Do
I
you?
love research. I have to stop myself.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of historical fiction authors because it's like you get so far down and you want to put everything in, but you can't put everything in. You have to kind of pick and choose, right?
Yeah. Self-control is necessary.
Self-control. Or also it'd be like 800 pages. So
Which I'm capable of. I really have to hold myself back.
Well, this is your fourth novel.
Yes.
And I mean, you've written some amazing novels, but this one is right up there. It's only been out, it's been out less than a month and it's doing fantastic. I mean,
I'm very, very happy with how people are responding. I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah. So tell us about Genevieve.
Well, she is someone who is got an artist soul and an artist ambition, but she lives in a time when it's very hard to fulfill those dreams. And so other women who I researched during that time period who lived a little later would usually get to their goals through a husband, a father,
right?
And she is A, not quite that kind of person, and B, she did not have those people who were ready and willing to make things happen for her. So she decides she's a very passionate person, but she's also impulsive and a bit reckless, while being also someone who has deep loyalty and morals. So she's complicated. But when she gets this chance to go after what she wants, she really goes for it and sets things in motion, shall we say. Some of them good, some of them very challenging.
I just loved her character so much because she was so brave. She was so daring and brave and she took it on. She took on that challenge early on in the book. It's not a spoiler. She takes on the challenge of becoming a spy. And I love that, because I don't know, because everybody loves a good spy, but then make it a woman.
I love spy stories. And I've been kind of a passive lover of spy stories. And I'm talking about I Never Missed a Homeland. I read all of Le Carre. I read Alan First. I've read a lot of espionage, and I watch it. It's a guilty pleasure. I watched The Americans. I think I watched every episode twice. But I didn't think of myself as someone who could write espionage. And I think I'm very happy that I found a way in to sort of go after one of my passions, but in a way that worked for me. Like, I couldn't do a Russian spy story. I just don't have the wherewithal to do that. But I could do this. Someone spying in an art and porcelain setting that has to do with war, and so won't get anything away.
Right. Well, I'm going to read the first first paragraph, okay? Because I love that. I love a great beginning, and this starts off so amazing. Amiability has never been counted more important in a woman's character than it is today, which is why I'm 24 and unmarried and without friends or employer, only a grandfather for company. It doesn't matter. Ambition consumes me, an impossible one. And when I read that, I was like, oh, yes, yes.
Oh, good.
I love your writing. I love the way you opened it. And right away, I feel like we know her. You explained her in less than a paragraph and you feel like you're on that ride with her. You're like, yes, this is going to be amazing.
Excellent.
So you have a lot. I mean, there's so much in this book, everybody. There is, the porcelain store. I thought I knew some stuff. I didn't know anything about it. So tell everybody, because at the back, at the end of the book, you do go into some of the history of it, but share it with people who don't really understand, how precious it was.
I didn't know much about it myself. There are so many people who have wonderful levels of expertise in it. I'm not one of them. What happened was I was at the Hillwood Estate in Washington, D.C., which has a collection of Marjorie Merriweather Post's priceless Sèvres porcelain and other beautiful objects. She has Fabergé eggs and so forth. And I was looking at the porcelain, and it's so beautiful and intricate, but it's also very rococo, very detailed. It's almost unbelievable to look at some of these objects that were made in the 1750s, 1760s, and to see the artistry and also the deliberation that went into all of these details. So what happened was porcelain really belonged to the Chinese for centuries, and the Europeans wanted to learn how to make it themselves and stop having to buy it from the Chinese for huge prices. They couldn't crack the code. They couldn't figure out how to make it for a really long time. And it was through a series of espionage breakthroughs that they were able to basically steal the formula from the Chinese, bring it to Europe, and then the race was on. The Germans went in hard with Mason porcelain, which is absolutely beautiful. The French were determined. Louis XIV wanted to have a porcelain, palace practically. He was so obsessed with it. And then the English were very, very intent that they would also create beautiful, beautiful porcelain. People would pay a lot of money for it. It was a national pride who could come up with the most beautiful porcelain. And so there was all this competition going on. And the reason that I wanted to write this book was that back in Hillwood, the tour guide said that the competition to come up with the most beautiful porcelain in the 18th century was the space race of its time.
Wow.
I thought, whoa.
Yeah.
And from that moment, that's where I got the idea for the book. So then I just had to pick exactly where it would be, when it would be, and then who my character would be. And so I had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of research, and what kind of person do I, when you're coming up with the main character, you have to think, what kind of person do I want to live with for the next 2 years or so while I'm researching and writing this? What kind of background would I be most interested in delving into? And because my own background is Huguenot, I thought, and I don't really know that much about it. It's an old type of,
Right.
people are Huguenots now. They don't really think of themselves that way. It's more of a 17th, 16th, and 18th century way to look at yourself as a French Protestant breaking away from the Catholic oppression of France. And so I wanted to learn more about it, basically. And so that's what I did. I learned about it as I wrote her. And at first I thought about making it an American who went to England, to be honest with you, but that would take too long. So I thought, I'm going to start in England. I want to make it an English story. And I started to find out about Spitalfields in the East End of London, where there were all of these French Protestant emigres, and that's where they came up with the word refugee from these people. They were, yes. And when I found that out, I got chills up and down my spine. So exciting.
Right.
And so I did a lot of research, and it just kept going from there. What kind of people lived in London at that time, what their goals were, their dreams, how they felt about being French, living within a country that they really loved, but a country that was fighting with France.
Right.
So, it was a lot of great conflict to work with.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's what, I was just going to talk about that because of your family heritage. I mean, that makes the research so much more fun when you're finding out about your ancestors at the same time as you're writing this. And, so I thought, when I saw that at the end of the book, I was like, oh, that's perfect. That was perfect for you. And I was so happy for you because I'm like, she probably found out so much great stuff that she didn't know before,
Oh, definitely. And I looked into the background of my own family. I couldn't really use some of the details in this book, but I found out one thing that kind of bothered me, which is that the person I'm descended from, Pierre BILYEAU, I gave a character in the book his name, but he actually came to America. He had a lot of children with his first wife, and she died before him, but he wrote a contract with his second wife the same day that his first wife died. So I have problems with that, but people were very pragmatic. I guess they felt like, need to move on quickly, but it's those sorts of things that sort of get into my brain, and this was in the 1600s, and I'm fascinated.
I know. I did a little bit of that Ancestry.com thing.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And
that's
I found
very
stuff even about like my grandmothers and my great grandmothers, and I tried to like confirm it with family members, like stuff that stuff that they didn't want to talk about, and they were like, oh, you just can't believe all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, but I have a picture of like, I don't know. No, I have evidence. Whatever. But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to look into that kind of stuff too. But the other thing that I was just so interested in your research. I mean, that's why I said I kept talking to you while I'm reading, because historical fiction is so amazing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Nancy, like the color blue, the way you go into, because I had listened just recently to a podcast and they were scientists talking about the color blue. And I was like driving, listening to this, and I didn't know anything about how they discovered colors, or how they, how we didn't even see blue, how humans couldn't see blue until blue was like.
Yes, I know. There's all these really interesting debates going on about how did we see it? When did we see it? Did we see it, but we didn't have the vocabulary for it? Or did we actually not see it? I mean, it's so interesting about the science of the eye, what it can see, what it can understand, and then to reproduce it in pigment or in dye. It's fascinating. And blue is in a category all of its own because, they're back in the caves, they could come up with oranges and browns, yellows, and you could find green, but blue was very hard. It was very hard to reproduce.
Right.
So you just have blue in a lot of art until you had a little bit of in Egypt. They had their own formula. You had to get it out of stones. You had to grind these stones, and how they actually found them in the first place is what I wonder all the time. What was the accident that led to someone realizing if I grind this stone I found in this cave in Afghanistan, I will actually come up with the most beautiful color blue. I mean,
I know, and my thing was always like, why didn't they just look up? But they didn't know.
I know.
They didn't know that was blue.
A reflection? What do we really see, though?
Right.
Do we see a reflection? And what is it reflecting? You know, those sorts of things can just endlessly get you.
I know, because that's all I kept thinking during the podcast. I'm like, but all they had to do was look at the sky, but they didn't see the sky as blue. They didn't see
that's blue. Interesting. They've studied ancient Greek texts trying to figure out what did they actually see.
Yeah, I was total. I loved that part. I loved how you went into it. I just had to tell you. I was like, oh my gosh, that is just. It's fascinating. It is. It's like because it's not something we were taught in school. First of all, you know.
I know. Nobody. Gosh forbid we would learn something that's interesting.
I know, right?
Science and discovery of color. I mean, it's mind-blowing. It really is.
It really is. And I loved your research on it. I thought you wove it into the book beautifully. And I was like so happy that you went there, you know, with everything with the whole story. So, I mean, I can't say enough good stuff about this book. Just saying.
Thank you.
I always try to tell myself, don't tell them 100 times how much you like the book. But
authors can never hear that enough. I mean,
know.
We're very fragile, needy people. Don't be fooled. So it's wonderful to hear.
I know. I usually say that, and people are like, "No, go ahead, bring it on." No, go ahead. I didn't hear it enough today, and I have to go write. So go ahead, tell me.
Especially since when I was working on this book, because it was so different. I did not get a lot of universal, this is going to be a great success at all. Everybody was like, this is just too different. And that's why it was a huge leap to go ahead and push through and have it published and then to see that people do want something different.
Absolutely.
You know, it's very affirming.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like us as readers, like we do like that. I don't know that editors always think that, but we do. Like that's what we look for. And this was such a gem to find. And, you know, so, okay, this came out in December. It was picked. I found it because it was picked on the Goodreads historical fiction.
Yeah, Goodreads people. What happened was it was on pre-order and suddenly there were all these sales and I was like, what happened? And my editor was like, we're trying to find out. It was just like, and they said, Goodreads likes it. So, you know, it was very organic. It was exciting. They sort of reached out and grabbed it. You know, I love that Goodreads supported it. And that was what got the music started on this book. Was the Goodreads support. And
you know what? I have been starting in the last 2 months. I've been telling people what I love about Goodreads is it's the readers. It's readers who get that out. It's not just some people you don't know who are picking books. It is the readers who are reading it and finding it and then and Goodreads uses those reviews and they come up and they never disappoint. So because they're the readers, it's the readers who pick. So I always go there. So I'm going to plug in my Goodreads thing. Go to Goodreads, everybody. They always pick great books. And, okay, so this book just came out, but I know you must be writing another one. So what can you tell us about your next one?
I am writing another one, and it has something to do with art again, but that's all I can say. I am drawn to art and beauty, but also the mystery of it as a driving force, in the creative process. And it is set in the past, but that's all I can say.
So it is historical fiction again?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
I mean, I'm just sort of wired that way. What can I say? I love to read historical fiction, and I like to write it. It's my passion, and I really feel that with all the work that goes into a book, you really should do something that you're excited about.
Absolutely. Oh, that makes me very happy. Is it going to be a 2019 book or a 2020 book?
I don't know. I guess anything is possible. It depends on how, and I can write fast, so we will see.
Okay. Yeah, it's only January. You can do it.
Yeah. And I have gotten into it, so.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. I am so happy that I got to speak with you just to be able to tell you how much I loved it. Just makes me so happy, and to get it out there and tell everybody else. And I will put all of Nancy's links underneath here, along with the link to Amazon, so you can go right there and buy it. It's out there, and I can't wait for the next one. So you know where to find me. We can talk about it. So yeah, and thank you so much for being available tonight.
Sure.
Okay, have a great one.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye. Gosh, she's so sweet. And I think I did say her name right in the intro. I don't know. I have to go back and read it. Nancy BILYEAU. I think I said that. I don't know. I got close, right? That's all I can ask for. But everyone, I am not kidding. Go get this book. You know what? I would buy the hardcover just to look at it. I'm going to go look at it at Barnes & Noble because I've only seen it digital and I need to see this cover in person. So I say it's a great one for your collection, and go get it. And thank you so much, Nancy, for talking with me. I cannot wait until your next book. Thanks, everyone. Hit like if you enjoyed watching it. Subscribe. I put out videos every single day. Have a great one, everyone.